Hello, welcome to another book report. I wasn't actually going to report on this one either, but I decided just to balance out the Peter Thiel book, which I should be publishing that book report at the same time as this one. I would sort of balance that out a little bit. I'm having shadow issues. Still can't do it. There we go. Good enough. There we go. George Soros in Defense of Open Societies. This is almost entire. I mean, it's all written by him, but most of it is things that were already published, like in the New York Review of Books, other sources like that, and just sort of put together. This did come out about 2018, so some of the writings are 2019 maybe. So some of these writings are fairly recent. Others go back 15 years or more. I did not read all of this. Frankly, I mean, he's a good writer, but he's mainly an investor, right? So it didn't really capture me, and a lot of I really like him overall. And I did enjoy what I read, and some of it was very enlightening from an investment perspective. I didn't really take notes because I skipped so much. I didn't think I would be reviewing this one, but just to balance out Peter Thiel, I figured a famous sociopathic investor. Book, I should balance a book about one anyway. I should balance it out with a famous investor who actually has morals and cares about other people other than himself, quite a bit actually. In fact, one of the things that really struck me about this was that early in his career, he took a step back and said, I have enough money for me and my family to live very comfortably, for generations. So why am I killing myself working really hard at investing? And he kind of stopped a little bit, and then created some foundations and said, you know what, I'm gonna keep working in the investment world and grow my wealth in order to power my open society oriented foundation. In fact, I think it's called, I forget what his foundation's called, but it does the Open Society Foundations, yeah. A network of foundations actually dedicated to defending open societies. I also love that he quickly admits mistakes and things that he has personally and that the foundation has done wrong, and but they learn from it. I mean, that's anybody who's gotten far in life treats mistakes as learning opportunities and then learns from them. Absolutely. Anyway, another thing that I didn't know was he was actually a student of John Popper. I think that's his first name. A very famous philosopher who I really need to read more of. Karl Popper. I'm sorry. Karl Popper, a famous philosopher, philosophy of science, among other things that I really need to read more directly from. I've read a lot of him indirectly, but never directly. Anyway, and it led him to a lot of the key things about George Soros's success in investing. Ironically enough, that background in philosophy and philosophy of sociology and other things like that led him very early on in the 50s to realize how insane at the time mainstream economics really was, and that the myth of what he would call the myth of the rational economic actor leads mainstream economics astray, and how it's really based on not on science and facts, but on dogma. They neoconservatives and the whole Austrian School of Economics, with a couple names that are escaping me at the moment, but anyway, a school of economics that's almost thoroughly discredited and proven false over and over again, using actual facts that have actually happened in the real world, versus this idealized, rational, fully informed, fully rational economic actor, of which there are zero. Nobody is fully informed, and nobody is, and to think that a whole bunch of small actors could somehow come together to create a fully rational market is equally insane. I mean, anyway, and so that allowed him to be like, hey, all these well thought of, and eventually by the 70s dominant economic thinkers. By the 70s and 80s, they became the dominant strain of economics that are just now being overthrown by people who actually are scientists and look at facts and look for evidence to support their theories. Anyway, this dominant strain of economics is an opportunity, because that means most economic actors, most people that are learning economics, are believing that markets are rational and fully informed, and yet I know that they're not, and so I can wait for the market to become highly irrational, either in specific situations with specific companies or in general, and use those as massive opportunities, which is what he did, and allowed him to build massive wealth. Honestly, this is how all long-term investors actually make their money, is they wait for large discounts on companies that are the price becomes frankly irrational, and then you buy the assets when they're on sale, due to the irrationality of the markets at certain times. So anyway, like I said, not the best written thing I've ever read, and a lot of his politics is sort of like, at least for me, I'm nodding my head like, yep, yeah, that makes sense, but not too profound. But anyway, a little bit of his history is fascinating, and particularly the bit about at the end about his philosophy that helped him become such a successful long-term investor. What is that section called? My conceptual framework. My understanding of reflexivity enabled me both to anticipate the financial crisis and to deal with it when it struck. But honestly, it helped him throughout his career, from the 70s on up. So the rest of it's more political and about his philanthropy and foundation. And actually, now that I'm reading these titles, some of his critiques of China are not as mainstream as they should be, and were interesting. And also, he gave some very early warnings. I mean, he wasn't alone, but he gave some very early warnings against Russia as Putin rose to power. So anyway, very intelligent, wise man. Those things don't always go together. Intelligent and wise, with actual morals, who actually cares about other people, and about leaving the world a little bit better than when he came in, making the world a better place. We need more folks like him. So anyway, until the next book report, happy reading.